Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was if it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this.
Shalom, shalom again, Israel. Welcome back to another edition of Deconstruction. Tonight we're going to be going into Push Part 2. Unfortunately, my good brother Deacon Kanash couldn't be here tonight, but we're going to continue with the lesson. Push Part 2, right? So last week we talked about a number of things. As a matter of fact, that's what we're going to start off at, is at 1 Corinthians 11 and 22. Just still in the spirit of dedication. Yes, dedication is ended, right? And there's a real big focus on dedication. But after dedication, the feast days for the rest of the year, save Sabbaths and new moons, are still commemorations of victory in war, right? These weren't times where the temple was destroyed. These weren't times where the temple had to be rebuilt. But there were still times of tribulation, of adversity. And it doesn't really end, right, until the new year and everything is renewed, right? We're heading towards celebrating the destruction of Nicanor, and we're heading towards Purim. So, though the focus of war is kind of like mostly centered around dedication for a lot of people, this whole tail end of the year, right, in the spirit, it's a time of war. It's a season of war. Right after Tabernacles, when we're talking about coming out of Egypt, which, mind you, after they walked through the wilderness, they did what? They went to war. And after Tabernacles, the very next feast day is what? Again, save Sabbaths and new moons, it's dedication. War after war after war, commemoration after commemoration, right? Years of uncertainty, years of adversity. Let's start off at 1 Corinthians 11 and 22, because we're still talking about our lives today. We're still talking about, if it's not a physical war that's being fought, which wasn't a huge part of the history that's our people have experienced as far as captivity. Yeah, you definitely had wars with the Philistines, right? You had wars with the Canaanites. David fought wars all his life, being in Israel. Solomon didn't. You had Joshua, war was going on during his whole life. After that, it was more so a lot of captivities. We would still go through things, and we would still try to fight at certain times, but when we would sin against the Most High and he wouldn't be with us, the fighting was pointless. It wasn't until later on, right, during the time of the Maccabees, and then Nicanor and, Purim before that. Then during the time of the Maccabees, you have Nicanor, you have Ptolemy, you have all the kingdoms that were warring against us, right, warring against the Greeks. But for the most part, it's a lot more mental. And that's even what this class before this, room 144, was. So let's start off at 1 Corinthians 1 and 11. 11 and 22.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 22. What? Have ye not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise ye the church of God?
Oh, Salaki, my bad. That is the wrong verse. Salakia, Israel. Bear with me 1 second. 2 Corinthians 11 and 22. Salakia.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 22. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool, I am more. In labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in deaths of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. Thrice was I beaten with rods. Once was I stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeying often, in perils of water, in perils of robbers, in perils by my own countrymen, in perils by the heathen, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren, in weariness and painfulness, in watching often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness, beside those things that are without, that which cometh upon me daily, the care of all the churches.
Right, so we read about this, right? And Paul goes into all the things that he suffered. And we had read earlier, he said, I obtained mercy because he said he was the chief sinner and he was a chief offender and the tribulation that he brought upon the Jews, right? A chief persecutor. He's saying all these things about himself in humility. And then he says, look, I was given mercy. And he makes good by the mercy he was given, right? He says, are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Then he talks about, look, he had to do all these different works. In prisons more frequent, in deaths oft. 5 times he was beaten by the Jews, save 40 times, save one. 3 times with rods, once stoned, 3 times being shipwrecked. And journeyings often, so it wasn't like, okay, hey, I've been on all these boats, they're going down, I've been on these trips that went wrong, I'm going to just stay here. He still continued on the mission to continue to go and evangelize. And then he says, in perils of waters, of robbers, and perils by my own countrymen, and perils by the heathen, and perils in the city. It's nothing new, right? A lot of us, we come into this walk, a lot of people in general, I think everybody came into this walk feeling like, oh my gosh, all praises, and you should. It is a beautiful thing that we found our culture, our heritage, and the way to get back right with our God. However, that saying, they say the road to heaven feels like hell, but the road to hell feels like heaven. We have still so many things to overcome, still so many things to experience. We read earlier in room 144 and 2nd Ezra, the ways to the kingdom, they used to be wide and short, right? He said, but when Adam sinned, which is the beginning of the scriptures that we see save the creation, he said things were changed. And now it's a straight and narrow path, so narrow that only one man can walk through at a time. That makes me picture tightrope walkers. People that go to like the Grand Canyon and deserts and big open areas. They attach a tightrope to either side and they walk very carefully, 1 foot over the other to get to the other side. And there's death on either side, right? Falling away. But nonetheless, Paul said, even with all this stuff that I had to endure, he said, on top of all that, I had all these things to deal with when it came down to the church. Now, if you were to separate the two, that's still an incredible testimony. If you met someone that said, hey, man, I have been in prisons plenty of times. I've been beaten so many times, I don't remember how many times I've been hit or maybe how many beatings. 5 times, the Jews have beaten me 39 times, 39 stripes save 1, or 40 save 1, which is 39. 3 times have I been beaten with rods. I've been stoned. You read in the scriptures, when somebody got stoned, they was put to death. That was how they died. Paul was stoned and lived. A miracle. If you met someone that's telling you all these things, you would sit there and be in awe at that person that they're even still alive, even still breathing. Let alone being a person that still has the right mindset, being a person that is a faithful servant unto God, being a person pleasant to speak with, exhorting people, uplifting and helping rebuild people. And if you met a man who was over all the churches after the time of Christ, being in captivity, being scattered, traveling across the world to teach people, that's also incredible. But Paul was both of those in one. He was the man who had endured many beatings. He was the man that endured a stoning, that endured shipwrecks. And he's the man that is over all the churches, writing letters, healing people, going to visit, exhorting them, helping them, uplifting them, rebuilding the foundation that Christ laid for those that were without. Right? And then guess what? Let's stay in 2 Corinthians. Let's jump over to chapter 2. And 10 and 11.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 2, and verse 10. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgave anything, to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of Christ. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
Now, mind you, Paul was saying, he's like, I'm not out for revenge. He said, if anybody was offended and whatever the case may be, he said, I would just forgive them. As much as it's within the law to be permissible for forgiveness, he said, I'll let it go. It is what it is. He wasn't on a campaign. Paul had authority, and he had to use that authority, and multiple times when he was in perils. He was a Pharisee of the highest degree. He wasn't your everyday average dude. And even amongst the Pharisees, he was of the top, most straight of the practice. And he was a Roman. He had power. He was influential. He could have easily taken it, you know what? I'm not going to be a persecutor of the churches, but this person beat me and this person has done this. I'm going to go to Rome, get some of my authority, get a couple men. I'm going to come back and I'm going to have him dealt with. Don't kill him, just beat him. Hey, Paul was like, dude, he let all this stuff roll, even with everything that he's going through. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, right? When everything's going good, it's easy to kind of let stuff roll off your back because you got all this success to look at. You got all these things that are going for you. You got all these things you're proud of. But when you got a lot of hell in your life and you have a lot of things that bother you, and then somebody come around and do you wrong, talk to you crazy, look at you, it'd be harder to let those things go. But Paul was saying, for the sake of Christ, he said, I still let these things go because that's how Satan's going to get an advantage. Let there be strife amongst the body. Let there be emulation amongst the body. Let there be these type of problems. He said, that's how Satan's going to get an advantage. Because he can sit up here and use, oh, there's division amongst this one and this one. That's all I need. That's why he's so prevalent in the nation, even amongst households. Let me just divide these two, and I can sit up here and I can go from there. I can affect their children. I can affect their community. I can affect their church. I can affect all these other things. Let's drop down to Matthew. Matthew chapter 10. Let's read about what Christ was experiencing. 10, we're going to get 16 through 33.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
So mind you, they wasn't fighting a physical war. Christ wasn't saying this during a time of war like, hey, don't defend yourself. If he was alive during the time of the Maccabees, if that was a time he would have chosen to come, he would have been in war. And he would have been leading the armies of Israel. But during this time, they're not at a physical war. So he said, look, the things that you're doing, that's why he said the weapons of our warfare is not carnal. The things that you got to go and do, the things that you have to go and endure, don't deliver yourself with your strength. Go ahead.
Verse 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And they shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak. For it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you.
Go ahead.
And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child. And the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth till the end shall be saved.
So he said, look, now a part of this, he's talking to his disciples and his apostles, right? A part of this, he's saying directly to them, hey, look, this is what's going to happen to y'all. Because he knew he was only going to be with Israel for a time. And once he died, it was up to them to continue on the mission, to continue to evangelize, to continue to rebuild and repair Israel. But we still read these things knowing this is going to come full circle. This is how it's always been. This has always been times of tribulation and times of adversity for our people. And it's no different than what's going to happen upon the earth before he returns the second time, right? He talked about all the different things that they would go through. He said, don't even concern yourself with what you're going to say. Try to prepare your speech. He said, the Spirit is going to speak through you. And he said, you're going to be hated of all men for my name's sake. They weren't welcome where they were. They weren't happy. People, now, don't get me wrong. Some people, a very, very faithful few. Very few that were faithful, happy to see Christ, weeping to see him, hoping to see him, praying to see him, faithful, right? But the vast majority, they hated Christ, and they hated his apostles and his disciples. That was Peter's temptation. As they crucifying Christ, people feeling so bold, they feeling so powerful, they're so ignited with their hatred, they look over, somebody looked over and said, hey, wasn't you with him? They want to get everybody that was related to Christ and deliver them to death. Deliver them to judgment. Deliver them to whatever magistrates or authorities that they can to get their way and to see them done wrong. And it's no different than what we experience now. Now it's a subtle thing, right? Now, in certain countries, it's a little more intense. In certain countries, they're experiencing those things, right? But for the most part, anywhere in the West, you don't really see that. Even in a lot of countries in the East, you're not really seeing that yet, right? You're not really seeing people do this. But you can pick up on the small stuff, right? People mock our views. People mock our God. People mock Yahushua, our king. People, as much as they sit up here and say they love Christ, they can't stand the things he said. They can't stand to hear you say the things he said. They can't stand to have to be convicted by his teachings and by the prophecies or his ideals. Go ahead.
Verse 23. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household?
So he said, look, if you're a servant, if you're a disciple, he said, it's enough that you become equal or that you experience the same things, right? He said, you're not going to be above. And so we're fellow heirs, Lord willing, with Christ. But he said, you're not going to supersede. We can't supersede Christ, right? He said, but now think about this. Just take a moment. He talked about all the different persecution that many of us are to experience and many of us are to endure. And then he said, if they call him the master of the house Beelzebub, he said, what do you think about you? We're not of this world. We're not going to be accepted. We're not going to be welcomed. We're not going to be loved except outside of each other. We the most hated, but we love each other. That's the reality of keeping the commandments, of trying to be righteous, of striving to reach eternity in the kingdom of heaven. That's the reality. He said, okay, so because they was telling Christ, they said, oh, he's doing this by Beelzebub, or he's doing this by a devil. He is a devil. Matter of fact, the accusations just rose and rose, right? He said, now, if they saying this about me specifically, what do you think they're going to say about you? And now, mind you, this man was pure. This man had no sin. Couldn't nobody, even when they was trying to convict him to kill him, they couldn't find anyone whose stories matched or lined up. A whole lot of people was paid off, had personal vendettas, whatever, right? They was coming to Pilate. They was coming to the Romans and trying to put things that they could use against Christ. But he like, man, I can tell all these people lying on them because none of their stories even line up. They all saying something different. Now, mind you, if that's how they did the man with no sin, how they going to do if you actually have made these mistakes or whatever the case may be? They're going to sit up here and try to convince you. And that's most of what Satan's game was. Just trying to convince, just trying to take an Israelite's mind off of what is supposed to be done. You sin and you get all those thoughts, ready to give up on yourself, ready to call it quits, not even realizing. I remember I heard an analogy. He said life is like a dark, scary forest. And then once you're in that forest, the only way out is through. If you sit down and you get stuck, you're going to be in that forest forever. That's the end of your journey. Them, like devils that come along and try to convince you, man, you made a mistake, you sinned, man, you might as well be like us. You might as well switch sides. And a lot of people do. And instead of that being a part of your testimony, that ends up being the end of your journey. That ends up being the thing that essentially in the spirit killed you. If you make a mistake 3 years later, 5 years later, as long as that wasn't a sin unto death, let's just say you hurt your best friend. And the scriptures talk about how sometimes with drink in the mix, people pull swords on each other. He said, but that can be repaired. Even he said a lot of friends, you might have issue with a friend, but except for a few things, it's still reconcilable. He said they can draw swords on each other, but yet you can still fix it. And that's a serious offense. But Satan don't want us to think like that. Devils don't want you to think like that. They want you to go curl up into a ball, to be defeated, to stop, to give up on yourself. Because if they can get you to do that, then there is no fight. There is no war to be fought. There is no kingdom to be inherited. There is no righteousness to have to dispel. The fight is over. Let's let's read on to verse 33.
Verse 26. Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops.
So a lot of times, as much as people like to sit up here and get revelations and give them in public and all that type of stuff for likes and clicks and views, how the Most High really deals with his people, he tells you, it's still in instruction in the dreams. Even the apostles, as Peter was on the rooftop, he was praying, and then what? He went to sleep and received some instructions. Woke up and went to execute. He said, what I tell you privately, go speak loudly, right? Go ahead.
Verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
And only fear the Most High. That was how they achieved their glory. That's what made them so legendary. That's what made the walk that they lived and the lives that they lived beautiful. They had to keep going. Yeah, Paul didn't have a wife and kids at that time. And I say that because it's a possibility he could have been regenerated. And maybe in this life, he has those things, and he's going to have a different testimony. Maybe, there are certain things that he didn't have to experience as he's Paul. But guess what? He still had the mission. He still had to continue on and say, look, doing this mission, you can't be afraid of death. Because that's ultimately the only release you're going to get. Let's read on.
Verse 29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows.
Go ahead.
Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven.
And ultimately, that's the goal, right? That Yahweh Shai is pleased with our confession and is willing to confess us before the Father. As much as we sit up here, we in Babylon, right? Modeled much like ancient Egypt, modeled much like ancient Babylon. Everything is pretty much centered around money, right? And it's been made to where it's an essential part of life. In so much that that's a lot of times what people can relate to when you're talking about being blessed or cursed, is looking at their pockets. But there's no level of guarantee that you would rather have than Yahweh Shai getting ready to confess before the Father, before the Most High, that you are one of his. As much as we get in like tense and we get in different situations and pressure, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, I don't know how I'm going to pay for that, I'm stressed, you're going to pray, you humbling yourself, you hoping things work out, all these different things, right? I guarantee you there's not going to be a moment of rent or financial struggle or life of peril that you're going to think about when that moment comes that Yahweh Shai is like, okay, wait here, I'm going to go speak to the Father, but you can hear the conversation and you hope, come on. You hoping that you did enough and you hoping that it's acceptable. There's never going to be something that you hope for more than in that moment that he's willing to accept and claim you in front of the Father and say, Father, I need this one to be in this kingdom with me. That's what we looking forward, and that's what we hoping for. Let's go to 1 Peter 5 and 8.
This is the first book of Peter, chapter 5 and verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
He said, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary as a roaring lion, not just a lion, right? It's one thing if a lion is on the hunt and he's trying to get close to his prey, he's trying to sneak up, he's doing it quiet, he's being tactful. When a lion is already frustrated and it's pissed off and it's roaring, charging at prey, he's not turning back. He either gonna kill or be killed. He says Satan is like that roaring lion. He's not just like a lion, he's like that roaring lion. After souls, after minds and hearts, after influence. Satan wants nothing more than for an Israelite to be debilitated and defeated. Satan wants nothing more. Even when, right, you see when word came down the pipeline, oh, a deliverer is going to be born. Satan went and told, hey, Herod, go start killing all the babies, all the man-child. Go, maybe we can stop him from the beginning. Somehow Yahushua lived. He made it through. Satan did the same thing with Moses, with Pharaoh. Pharaoh, go issue the order. Kill all the man-child, the man-children. All of those that died, and yet Moses was able to be saved. So imagine, he putting all these people to death. He trying to find a way to cut off a deliverer before they have a chance to be in their strength. How much more do you think he would love to see you defeated and debilitated? And a demon come and give him the report. Oh, look like he gave up. She gave up. Who? For real? He gave up. She gave up. They're done. Made a mistake, fell off, had a tough time, went through a season, and that's it. You stopped in that dark forest, and you might not ever make it out. Satan wants nothing more. Everything that he does, from the influencing of the minds, even the way that the world is set up as far as time, most people spend most of their time working to live. And if you don't have that, then he like, okay, well then now I need you distracted. Can't have you building up. Can't have you investing in your people. I need you. Here, take a cell phone. Yeah, you got to pay for movies in a theater. Yeah, you got to pay for certain stuff. But you got all these free apps. Facebook is free. Instagram is free. YouTube with millions, maybe billions of hours of content. It's free. He wants nothing more than to take away the mindset and the ability of the Israelite. Because that could easily be the next deliverer defeated. Easily be the next deliverer dead. Why do you think all these places are established? Planned Parenthood, Plan B. He hoping that the right woman is going to be impregnated with a prophet and she go to CVS. And for $50 can keep her life the way that, like, come on. That's what he hoping. He hoping the right woman gets impregnated and feels the pressure and fear and decides to go get an abortion. That's what Satan is looking for it to happen, for the saints to be cut off one way or another, whether they can be cut off from their birth, whether they can be cut off early in their life, influenced, mentally destroyed. That's what he's looking for. That's what he's hoping is going to happen. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. And I say that because, like I said, a lot of times it's difficult, right? Striving to do good, striving to be like Christ. And then you realize, like, man, he didn't even do nothing wrong. Mind you, I'm not in a place where I could be like, man, I'm just like Christ. I don't have no, nah, I can't say that. I'm working towards that. That's my hope. That's what I pray to be. But it's a process to get to a point of patience, of exhortation, of righteousness, to be able to be at that level. right? And there's only one Yahweh Shai. But mind you, he did everything right. There was no guile in him, no sin in him, no evil report, they couldn't bring up nothing. And they hated his guts. They hated the sight of him. They hated his words. They hated what he was doing. They hated his influence. They hated his teaching. They even told the apostles and disciples, didn't we tell you not to say that name? They hated his name. Haven't we told you not to come here and speak that name, Jesus or Yahweh Shai? Haven't we told you not to exhort, not to teach in this name? That's what they did to the best of the best. They looking for us to fall. And like I said, a lot of people do that. A lot of people, they start, matter of fact, let's read this. Let's read 2nd Ezra chapter 16. We're going to start at verse 73, and we're going to read to the end.
This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, and verse 73. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire.
So it's talking about the end times. Guess what time it is? It's the end. We're at the end now. The prophecies of Yahweh Shai is his final form, right? Like Dragon Ball Z, right? They go through those transformations. They go through the different Super Saiyans. They got the other people. They got they different, like, oh, I'm only using a fraction of my power. The time that's spoken of, the time that was spoken of before, it said that he would come and he would bear our iniquities and our sins, give repentance unto Israel. It said this time he coming in his final form. He's coming with judgment. He's coming with destruction. He's not coming with a sword just to divide you in mindset and in unison of your family or how am I trying to say this? He's not just coming to separate you on a spiritual level. That's already been happening. That already happened back when he walked the earth, and it still happens to this day. That's one of the first things. That's like your Israelite starter pack. Getting ostracized. And you don't have to be unwise about it. You don't have to be rambunctious and foolish about it. But the reality is, if you really say, hey, look, this is not what I do, people wish you, oh, Happy New Year. I don't celebrate. People don't like that stuff. I just go along with the program. Just smile and wave like everybody else. No, that's not what we've been called to do. We're not called to just be like everybody else. We're not called to partake of the things that this world is promoting. We're not called to sit by idly while the world is being destroyed. We're called to build. We're called to repair. We're called to exhort. We're called to teach. To rebuild Israel and prepare Israel as a wife being adorned before her wedding. He said at the end of these days, it's going to be obvious who's his. It's going to be obvious. And he said, those that are his, guess what? As much as we want that, oh, I finally found my refuge, my safe place. Oh, I finally found everything's going to be good. Everybody here is going to be perfect. That's not even the reality. Tried as gold in the fire. That means on all fronts. Gold can't be partially melted. Everything is going to get tested. And he said, you're going to see who's mine. You're going to see those that persevere, those that strive lawfully, those that are faithful, those that are emboldened in the spirit, those that are approved. He said, you're going to see it. And they're going to be tried as gold in the fire. Go ahead.
Verse 74. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord. Behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for God is your guide.
He said, the days of trouble are at hand. We are literally living what Christ spoke of in Matthew 24. He said, they wanted to know what was going to be the end. He said, well, you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. We hearing about wars all the time. It's civil wars in Africa. It's a war between Russia and Ukraine. China is lining up their warships and their aircraft carriers around Taiwan, which would cripple most other countries that aren't its allies to still get chips that Taiwan is like produces 99% of the world's supply. In retaliation and in preparation of war with China, America is going to Venezuela and what they call, what is it? Basically, they're stopping sanctioned oil because Venezuela ships a lot of their oil to China and Russia, which are not allies of America. So America is trying to prepare themselves to cut off the supply. And it's kind of going to be like a race. Who runs out first? Will America run out of weapons that it can design because it no longer has chips? Or will China and Russia run out of oil first? We hearing of the wars that are already going, and we're seeing how there's rumors of war on the horizon. It's lining up. I wouldn't be surprised, and I more than likely would say there's probably going to be more wars in 2026. It's not going to calm back down. It's only going to continue to escalate. We're looking at what was spoken of in Revelation, the 4 horsemen come one after another. We're looking at it. We're living it. That's the horse of war. It's upon us. He said, but I will deliver you from the same. He said, look, don't worry about it. That's why he said, that's what Christ said. Be not troubled. See that you be not troubled. You can't sit up here and you're not going to call, let me talk to the president. I can solve this in you know what I'm saying, one afternoon. Yeah, maybe you could. But it's not going to be something that's in your control. He said, don't even worry about that stuff. Plus, we got more to do and more to look forward to than the destruction of this world. He said, be not afraid, neither doubt. Bishop Izar just brought that out in the last lesson, that they had a mind of evil because they were unfaithful, because they were fearing, because they... let me pull it up real fast. Hebrews 3:12. Let's get there real quick. Or matter of fact, I'm going to just read it. Let's stay in 2nd Ezra. I just want to read it real fast. It says, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief in departing from the living God. So many times the Bible says, be not afraid. I've seen someone say, it says it 365 times. And they're like, oh, it's like one for every day of the year. But it says it hundreds of times in the Bible. It talks about be not afraid. He always would tell the prophets. He would always tell the leaders. He would always tell the avengers, be of good courage. Because he like, dude, you're talking to the creator of all this and the orchestrator of all this. And it's already done. It's already set. We can read about these moments because they exist already. There was a movie called Arrival, and there were these aliens called cephalopods. Just a fascinating concept, right? I like to see those things visualized. The cephalopods experience time more on a loop than linear like humans. And they experienced every moment of their life from beginning to end as they lived. So they already knew how they were going to die. They knew what was going to happen the next day. They knew about their experiences. They knew all these different things. That's basically what we see in the scriptures. When we read way back how Ezra is seeing the kingdom of heaven, he asked the angel, he said, sir, who are these? He said, yeah, these are those that overcame. And the man that's in the midst of them, that's taller than everybody else, that's Yahweh giving them crowns. That day has already been witnessed by someone that died how long ago? Hundreds, thousands of years? It already exists. It already is happening, has happened, will happen. He said, don't be afraid. I'm going to deliver you. That also is happening, has happened, will happen. Your salvation is sure. Your redemption is sure. If you be righteous. If you continue, if you put away sin. If you go and sin no more. If you repent. Go ahead.
Verse 75. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for God is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts.
He said, the guide of them that keep my commandments and my precepts. Go ahead.
Saith the Lord God. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves.
Because guess what? For a lot of people in this world, you have a lot of people that pretend, right? They pretend to like people they don't like. They pretend to love people they don't love. They pretend to be righteous. They pretend to be holy. They pretend to be pure. They pretend to have a conscience. But you can see within a lot of people, it'd be like, whoa, like some people really just don't have a conscience. It isn't about, some people, they'll kill, right? And you'll say, what happened? And they say, oh, well, this person, I seen recently a man in New York. He killed somebody. He was like, yeah, I killed somebody back in like 97 because he abused my daughter, and he like made a mockery. Like he was laughing about it. He said, I went and I got him. And you see a man like that, and it's like, well, that's understandable. That's reasonable. That's according to judgment. That's righteous. Mind you, she wasn't an adult. She was a child. But then you see those that they don't need an incentive to kill. They don't need an incentive to destroy. They don't need an incentive or a righteous cause or a just mindset to say, I want to go and destroy. Or to say, I just want to just cause havoc. They don't need a reason to do the things that are happening. And guess what? Satan don't be worried about them. Satan, they like best friends. But then you have those that, before I even go too deep into that example, basically you see there are those without a conscience and there are those that have a conscience. And those that have that conscience, they have a conscience with a mind towards God, right? They're trying to be righteous. They're trying to do well. They're trying to be what's holy and acceptable. And it's not even just for rewards. There's a level of gratitude that you have to take when it comes down to reading about Yahweh's life. And then experiencing life for yourself and saying, man, imagine if I had to go do this today. Man, imagine if I had the burden that he had and the responsibility that he had. I can't be nothing but grateful that Yahweh came and laid down his life so that we could have a chance at repentance. Right? He said, let not your iniquities lift up themselves. You know why? Because for those that are pretending to have a conscience, they play innocent, they play victim, they play whatever card is going to get them out of a situation. People sit up here and go commit premeditated murders, and then they be in court with the straight jacket on, trying to look crazy, trying to pretend they didn't understand what they were doing. Right? That's not who this is written for. But if you have a conscience and you sit up here and you think about your mistakes and you look up, that mistake was 5 years ago, 7 years ago, a year ago. You see that you becoming a better man, a better woman, that you're fixing yourself, and your mistakes have not been sins worthy of death, where you can continue to build and you can continue to be amongst your people and to try and do things that are going to make you be found acceptable through faith and through mercy, through grace. That's what that's written for. Because again, that's where a lot of people give up. That's where a lot of people decide to stop their walk. And that's the end of their story, their legacy. They ain't dead, but they dead. And then even worse, because you don't believe, it would be different if you just, there's no off button, right? We know suicide, that's not really an option. It's not an option. There's no off button that you could push like an escape room. Okay, I'm done. I think I'd just rather be out of here and let me just get the answer. There's not one. You gotta continue to go. But some people, they'll be so defeated in their minds, they'll go back into the world. I'm not gonna make it no way. I've made too many mistakes. I've offended too many times. I might as well give up. And give up they do. And they gone. Yeah, you back celebrating Christmas. You back keeping traditions of men. You back indulging in sin after having known better, all because you didn't believe. Now you see how that mind can really be evil. Because in the moment, it just feels like, man, I'm not worthy. I should just quit. But then what happens after you quit? You go back into sin, and sin abundantly. Now all the things that I've been abstaining from, might as well go indulge, right? No. That's why he said, look, don't let your sins multiply themselves against you. But there's another thing that goes with it, right? Go ahead.
Verse 77. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities.
And then he says, so first he says, don't let them multiply, lift up themselves against you. And then he said, woe be unto them that are bound with them. Because now you on the other side. On the one hand, you could be a good man or a good woman that makes mistakes or that has made mistakes, and you beating yourself up, and you still haven't relinquished that guilt. Still being at not your full capacity because there's something that you're carrying that you can't let go of or haven't let go of. Then on the other side, you got those, it'd be impossible to tell them something's wrong. It'd be impossible to get them to see that they're doing something that's wicked or that's evil or that is not worthy of salvation or that they need to make an adjustment. Yeah, the Lord's mercies are abundant, but so is his wrath. You shouldn't continue in sin that grace may abound. Paul said that. But they'll tell you, you don't need to wear your fringes. You don't need to keep the Sabbath. You can eat pork. You can eat shrimp. Let no man judge. It's like, bro, that's not what that says. That's not what that means, I should say. It's not about continuing in that sin. It's about, look, Father, I know you can forgive me, and you can remake me, and you can give me immortality, but please will you? And let me please you, because let me try and come with something that I can offer, even though it ain't much. I can try and offer myself up as a sacrifice with obedience and faith to hopefully be found acceptable of those gifts, because they are gifts. So many people in the Israelite community speak about the kingdom of heaven as if it's a right. Yeah, you have right to the tree of life. He said, blessed are they that do his commandments, for they may have right to the tree of life. And that's only of Israel to begin with. It is not an automatic guarantee that salvation is going to be given to every single Israelite man and woman. That's what thus saith the Lord. He says it. There be many more created than shall ever be saved. So he said, woe unto them, destruction unto them. Don't sit up here and just continue on your sin, and now your sins ain't multiplying against you because you have a conscience. They're multiplied against you because you just really sinful and iniquitous. Go ahead.
Like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through, it is left undressed and cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
He said, it's just like a path. If you've ever seen areas reclaimed by nature, Chernobyl, for example. Chernobyl, after the nuclear meltdown, it was a nuclear meltdown in the reactor, right? People had to evacuate of those that didn't die. And that area is reclaimed by nature. You know, you got the vines growing through up and off the side of buildings, growing into broken windows and growing into houses and, just growing over infrastructure. Nature is reclaiming that whole area. The animals, even though they're radioactive, they multiply and running wild. It's like uninhabitable. It's not a hospitable environment. He said, don't let your sins make your path like that, where everything is just overgrown and you can't even cross through there because it's just so overgrown with all that sin and iniquity. He said it is left undressed. He said, man, he going to come back and look at the people and be like, look at this. This is a mess. You can't come to me and I'm not going to you. There's no path. He said, man, just throw that in the fire. That's what it's good for. It's good for fodder. It's good to burn. It ain't producing no fruit. It ain't really having no other purpose. Okay, then cut it down. Burn it. Let's go to Sirach 4:20. So one of the things that I've come to realize when adversity gets turned up, because going off of that scripture, matter of fact, let's go there, but the last thing you need to do is give up on the Most High and give up on yourself. That's the last thing. Sometimes you might feel burned out. Like all you want to do is serve the Most High in peace. or in what peace you can find. And I'm not even all the way mad at that. Really, I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not going to say that's a wicked desire, because that's the desire of the kingdom, to be able to serve the Most High in peace. But we're not there yet. Life starts to get exhausting, right? Life starts to get frustrating. We have to go through all these different things. The last thing you need to do is cut back on the Most High. And a lot of times, that's what people do first. You're not going to cut back on your job and say, you know what, man, I'm tired of living in this house. They got me working all these times. I'm moving into a studio apartment. And I'm going to just live out. Or matter of fact, what I'm paying in mortgage per year, I could have been bought me a little slice of land and built me something and be out in the middle of nowhere and just dwell on my own. Most people are not saying that. Most people take the mentality of, well, I got to keep working. I got to be here. I got to be there. I'm just not going to do this for the Most High anymore. Take me, complacency. Take me off of this. Take me off of that. Matter of fact, I'm leaving. No calls, no texts, no check-ins. They want to be done. And it's like, dude, that's the last thing. The last thing you need running through your mind when everything is already going to sugar, honey, iced tea is doubt. Is you giving up on yourself. I'm not worthy. I wasn't going to be saved no way. That's the last thing you need to hear at that time. That's why it was so important that the apostles and the disciples were coming together all the time, breaking bread. They talking about the scriptures, and guess what? You don't think that they laughed and shared good times with each other? They were friends. Matter of fact, Paul called some of them sons. If you have a righteous father and he comes into town, it should be a good thing. It should be a beautiful reunion. So if they was breaking bread and he like, man, I've raised these men up like sons, it should be a good time having dinner with pops, breaking bread and spending time, being exhorted and hearing certain things. That needs to be done. And I don't think that a lot of times we realize how essential that is. Scriptures talk about how laughter is medicine. This word is medicine. We should be talking about the word. We should be having a good time. We should be able to find the beauty in this walk. Find the beauty in this life. Hold that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1. We're going to read verse 1 through 10.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun.
Uh-huh.
One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also arises, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth towards the south, and turneth about unto the north. It is whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits.
Uh-huh.
All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing.
He said, look, when you look and you see, it's like, man, the sun rises every day from the same point or the same, hemisphere, sets in the opposite. Moon doing the same thing, but it's all on a cycle. The moon it's on a cycle. The sun is on a cycle. The seasons are on a cycle. The rivers and oceans are on a cycle. Behaviors, life, migrations. Solomon starts to look back at the years, and he like, man, you start to notice stuff. I've seen this flock of birds, maybe not this exact flock of birds, but I've noticed during this season, these birds always flock. There's a mass migration. Oh, look, there's fish in the river. They do the same thing. There's a migration. Even on a shorter sense, before the seasons, you got the sun and moon doing the same thing. And he opened up by saying, man, so much of what we toil and what we do is just vanity. He said, even as far as, one generation passeth by and another generation comes. There's so many people that have died that we've never met, whose lives were equally important to them as we think a lot of times our lives are, or as we think our lives are to us, and we do not know who they are. He said, vanity, vanities. All of this is just vain. That's why I said I'm really not mad at someone just being like, man, I just want to be able to serve the Most High and kind of, have some sense of peace, because ultimately, a lot of what we do in this life is vain. And that's why this is more so where the money point makes a lot more sense. Look at what we're doing. Working a job, building somebody else's business, building somebody else's kingdom, allowing somebody else to be at home enjoying their family while you out toiling for yours. So much of what we do is pointless by design. And Solomon understood this, but you know what? Solomon was rich. He could say all of this is vain. Man, that's pointless. That's pointless. But he rich. He don't have to go work the same type of job a lot of us do. He was a king. He was governing people. We are experiencing these things that he's speaking of, and we working these jobs for scraps. He said a lot of this, there ain't really no profit in it. That's all I need. But it's just to say, with all the different things, right? That's kind of, for the most part, what a man's life is. But now, let's go to Sirach 4:20.
This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 4 and verse 20.
We're going to read 20 and 21.
Observe the opportunity and beware of evil, and be not ashamed when it concerneth thy soul.
Go ahead.
For there is a shame that bringeth sin, and there is a shame which is glory and grace.
So when I read Ecclesiastes, and a lot of it feels pointless, and then you read this, he's showing us over and over again, there's a lot of cycles that are so out of your control that you might as well not really be too concerned with. And there are so many tasks and worries that are out of your control that you might as well not be concerned with. The only thing that you can do that's actually going to matter is, because guess what? The only thing you can do that actually is going to matter is if you're righteous. Because guess what? You think Christ was the only man on earth at that time that was getting spoke about crazy? No. Do you think he was the only one that people lied on or that people delivered up to be killed? He was the only righteous man with no sin and no guile that they delivered up to be killed and delivered up to be persecuted. That was what made him so significant. That was what made him so incredible, so exceptional, because he was righteous with that. Just like Paul. Man, I bet you I can go to any liquor store at any day during the week. Everybody got a testimony. You might find some people with Paul's experience. Yeah, I've been through this, been through that. Yeah, I lost this here. I lost a limb. I went through this when I was in prison. I went through that when I went through this stage of my life. Yeah, my family fell apart. It's like, damn, you done been through it. But what is the significance of your tribulation if you haven't chosen to be righteous? What is the significance of your testimony if you haven't chosen to give it to God? You went through all of that, and then what? Now we just at the liquor store. Now we here, and what? This is the end of the story? This is how it's going to finish up like this. And then he was at the liquor store, and he was at the liquor store, and he was at the liquor store. It's like, what's the significance if it doesn't ever have that turnaround, if it never has that turning point, if it never has that righteousness or that awakening to it? It's just, I mean, it's interesting, but what's really going to be the significance? He said there's a shame that comes with sin, and there's a shame that's unto glory. That bringeth sin, and there's a shame which is glory. Now, if you sit up here and you say, yeah, I used to be this, I used to be that, I've been through all these things, but now, then that's where the glory comes in. And guess what? People are going to talk about you just the same way they used to talk about you. Even Yahweh Shai went through that. Of all the places he was going, people are mystified and amazed. Well, who is this man? Speaking this doctrine like that, talking so boldly, speaking with authority. Never seen this man in my life, but he's incredible. They going to tell their friends, families, have you heard of Yahweh Shai of Nazareth? It was an amazing thing, like, wow. But then when he went home, what? They treated him like he was just a regular, just a nigga. They was treating him like he was just any old body. They was like, you talking about Jesus of the carpenter's son? You talking about, I know Joseph and Mary, boy. Man, you talking about he a prophet and he did. Man, I remember that one time when he was young and it's like, oh, here you go. That's what people want to be able to do. Man, he used to be this. He used to be that. They probably said all types of, you talking about the one with the physically describing him, because it doesn't say that he was a very good looking man. Said he had no comeliness that we would desire him. Yeah, even in his historians record that he didn't even have a full beard, and he had a hunchback. They was like, you talking about? So you imagine you got a whole bunch of Israelites, blacks and Latinos in the hood. You talking about the hunchback and like, damn, you can't even say his name. Put some respect on who he is. He went to his city and nobody regarded him. He was like, man, what's the point of doing miracles here? All they going to sit up here and say, they probably going to say worse than the rest of the world. It's going to take the rest of the world some time to catch on and decide to be evil. Them, they rejected him as soon as he came back. You just Joseph and Mary boy. So guess what? That type of stuff happens regardless. People believe things all the time that they get mocked for. It's people out there that's big burly men and they believe they are born in the wrong body. It's women that dye their hair and got all this anxiety and all these different things, and they got all these different sexualities and abominations that they're willing to commit, all these beliefs that are just wild, and people take them as a joke. And it's like, look, well, what would you rather be? Would you rather be someone who gets shamed and shunned and ridiculed and rejected because you actually have some things that are worthy of that? Or would you rather be someone who's shamed, ridiculed, and rejected because you're choosing to be righteous? You're going to experience shame. You're going to experience ups and downs. You're going to experience life like most. And guess what? You're going to experience, for the most part, all of us are going to experience a physical death. You get to define why those things come about. You get to define what your days meant. You get to define why your tribulation came about. You get to define your beliefs. You get to define what your death meant. There's one that comes with shame, a sin, and there's one that comes unto glory and honor that you're lifted up for. And guess what? They both going to be hard. They both going to be difficult. I'm pretty sure them people that be having all, blue hair and red hair and all, just all these different things going on with them, they be like, nobody understands me. Now, there's a community of people that are just like you that, technically speaking, understand you. And they, But then you had prophets that hid in caves with fear of death, crying to the Lord, man, Lord, nobody understands me. Which one are you going to pick for your life to be? Because you're going to go through it. So what's the significance of why you're going through what you're going through? You get to pick. And they both have wildly different results. Let's show the world real fast. Let's go to Revelation chapter 14. Chapter 14, let's read verse 8 through 12.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Uh-huh.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receiveth his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation.
Uh-huh.
And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
That's what the world is doing right now. That's why they call it the American dream. I've never heard of the British dream. I've never heard of the European dream, the African dream, the Australian dream, the Chinese dream. Most of these countries live lifestyles that for a long time Americans have mocked. Oh, Australia's cool, but you got all the spiders, and you got this, you got that. China's cool, but they work, and they're in sweatshops. And America has been able to point the finger and mock for all this time. And then they go into these countries, and they give, look, you look like you need some freedom, some democracy. Take these things. We'll take what we need. Let's establish some trade routes. You can live lavish too. All of this and more can be yours. Just sign your name on the dotted line. Right. Give you our best technologies. We'll give you our best pleasures. We'll give you our best ideas. Give you our best companies. We'll give you our best amenities. And as wicked as America is, and as much as, because freedom at a certain point becomes a prison. Everybody free to do whatever they want. There's no safety. There's no guidelines. There's no restrictions. Then human trafficking and adultery and fornication and murders galore. Wickedness, idolatry. Average people have access to get on the internet and learn how to perform witchcraft. Oh, it's not safe. The next door neighbor chanting. Oh, this is not cool. I kid you not, a couple years ago, I went to the beach. I'm like, man, I'm going to just go get out the house, go to the beach. I seen a woman there with some tarot cards and some candles, burning sage and saying stuff to herself. I said, oh, it's time to go. I said, it's time to go. I was like, let's go ahead and let's get up out of here. Because everybody got freedom. So she can go ahead and buy her little tarot cards off of Amazon or from one of them little shops, get her candles, learn her chant, speak Latin, and hope that she's saying that. All of this stuff is readily available. And America is going to other countries and saying, look, you can't get one without the other. If you want our freedom, if you want our wealth, if you want our success, you got to take everything that comes with it. And it is to every nation that America has a hand in or over, it is to their detriment. And so many of those countries, that's why they're waking up and shaking off the wickedness. But even then, it's so deeply embedded already. It's so deeply embedded. They can only turn back so much. Everybody's trying to get a slice of the pie, and America is just giving it out. He said, all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And then guess what? He said, you also going to drink the wine of the wrath of God. Pour it out without mixture. I remember Bishop Yazequel had broke that down. And he talked about having a nice drink. And you like to mix it with something sweet. You got a harsh kind of liquor. You want something sweet to go with it. He said, nah, the wrath of God is not going to be sweetened. It's not going to come with a lemon or a lime. A little bit of salt. It's going to be pure and straightforward judgment, destruction, death to the wicked. And everyone that's joined with the wicked. Fire and brimstone forever in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
That's what the world is right now. Even though it don't seem like it. Like, man, and they, everybody was trying to figure out the mark of the beast. It's sin. That's what America is going and giving to all these different nations. You can follow, because guess what? You can follow whatever gods you want to. You can follow whatever belief you want to. You can practice whatever you want to. Whatever sexuality, whatever ideas, you could practice it all. All under the banner of the American dream. And people see this luxury lifestyle and this lavishness that everybody's struggling to uphold and maintain. And they get caught in the illusion. And they come here and guess what? You working 50, 60 hours a week for that truck and that house. Yeah, your kids don't want for nothing, but they don't see you. They're not influenced by you. And America says, oh, don't worry. Now that the father's out the house, let's give them these programs. Let's give them these websites. Let's give them freedom. All these kids getting iPads. And they free to roam the internet and be influenced by whatever comes their way. And predators know it. How many times has Roblox been in the news? Because there's a bunch of adults on there. Then you got all these streamers that come and promote it even more. Like, bro, you 20 years old, 25 years old. You don't have no business on no Roblox. But guess what? That's where the predators are. Because you're busy out working, trying to achieve the American dream. Your children are the real targets. Because a lot of what's wrong with us today came from our childhood. I don't know anybody who spoke about stuff that didn't start with their childhood. People give their testimonies. Man, how'd you end up in the streets? Well, I did 12 years. Well, what happened before that? Well, as a kid, I was watching this a couple of weeks ago with some brothers. He was young. He witnessed a murder. The murderer came to him as he's a child. He was like, if you tell anybody, I'm going to kill you and your whole family. He was scared. He avoided the killer for a long time. And then guess what? The killer came to him with a proposition. You already know all my dirty secrets, man. You might as well help me get this money. You might as well get a little bit off the top, too. That's what America does. Threatens, and then when I can make use of you, oh, yeah, come on in. It's like you family to you, not. That's what America has for everyone that's willing to accept its wickedness. But guess what? Did you already read verse 12? No. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus.
So that's the whole thing. Understanding that, look, the people that do you wrong, the people that mock you, the people that got all this stuff on you, are the people that are indulging in their wickedness, making it seem like it's something wrong with you. That's their reward. I talked to somebody the other day, and it reminds me why I end up being so distant from certain people. They in the world, family. Talk to them, talking about business, talking about investments, yada, yada. We chopping it up. All right, man, Happy New Year. I'm like, it's been over 10 years. It's been like 13 years, 12 years since I've celebrated New Year's in January. But you think because I'm coming to you and I kind of need you and you kind of need me, that because I'm in a humble state, I'm finna change my beliefs. I said, it's not the new year. Oh, well then, just have a safe night. Yeah, you too. Click. Good reminder. You might not hear from me till summer. No, I'm not entertained. Oh, you gonna mock my beliefs? And it's unfortunate. Because guess what? As much as you can mock all you want to. You can say all you want to. I can, man, and all praise to the Most High. It was a journey, right? I came in high school. Y'all think some kids are merciless. Boy, I get cussed out in class, teacher watching. I'm like, damn, you're not going to stop this. I'm talking to somebody about the Bible. And there were certain times, I ain't going to lie, I was just like, you know what, I'm going to just take peace in the fact that you got judgment coming. If you wanted to repent, you could. And as soon as you make that decision, absolutely. I would like to be able to help you become what we read about in the scriptures as much as I'm able. I would love to lead you to the church. I would love to show. But you know what? The reality is, for all those that won't repent, that feel like they winning, you got to sometimes you just have to walk it off and say, you know what? All you have left is judgment. That's all that's going to be left for you. That's the patience of the saints. It's not going to last forever. Our captivity not going to last forever. Our captivity not going to last forever. Our tribulation not going to last forever. The tough times not going to last forever. It's not. And I don't have to glory over the fact that they're going to be destroyed per se. But I'm going to glory over the fact that this world is going to come to an end because it's exhausting. And with everything, we still have to push through. Knowing that it's all vain, we still have to push through. Knowing that a lot of it's pointless, we still have to push through. Knowing this earth belongs to us, we still got to push through. We had an event like a year or two ago. I was walking through a neighborhood. It was like by the beach. I know everybody, I don't know. I think differently often, right? I'm walking through that neighborhood. I was so mad. We had an Israelite concert, all Israelite artists, all that, right? We walking through the neighborhood, and I felt so personally slighted because I knew it was an area that was, for one, upper echelon, right? A lot of Edomites, you need a lot of money to be there. And I was mad at one store in particular. It was a store of arts and crafts, like paintings, ceramics. And I said, man, we gave up our relationship with our God. We gave up to have endless victories in war. We gave up to be able to get answer and to receive the gifts of prophecy and a direct correlation to the questions, concerns, fears that we have. We gave up the ability to get advice from our God. I ain't gonna say on command, but you could go and do it. Maybe you had to, the priests would humble themselves and lay before the Ark of the Covenant for a few hours, but you got an answer. And not everybody was called for that level of service. So you could go to a priest, man, I just want to see how my walk is going. And the priest could come back, or a prophet could come to you and to deliver a word directly from the Lord to tell you where you need to improve. And imagine you got a good report. You're like, oh, I'm not doing as bad as I thought. Or imagine you overly confident and you like, thank God I got a warning, a wake-up call before it's too late. We lost all of that and more. But the reason why this store in particular upset me so much was because I thought about how many Israelites that I see that are disadvantaged and disenfranchised, that are talented. From music to arts and crafts to paintings to poetry. Our people are incredibly creative and innovative, and we're always, or many a time, limited by resources. And it was frustrating to see that store because I know you be seeing them Edomites, like the hipster kind of, they wear like their cardigans and they're walking around in their flip-flops all day with their man bags, long book, the satchel man bag, and they got the man bun and the man purse, and they just spend their time in this luxury apartment making pottery. They just took an interest And they'd be like, you know what, I'm just going to make pottery. And then it's not just like they're just making pottery and then what do I do with it? They have an outlet for their creativity to be able to make a living for themselves. And that frustrated me so much because I see how our people have to beg and fight. Most of the time, most Israelites with a beautiful ability and a passion don't pursue that passion because it don't pay. It ain't paying enough. So as beautiful as a talent as you have, as many people as you can inspire and impact, you can't even pursue because you have no time. Or you're so occupied in just living, just surviving. I ain't gonna say living, just surviving. You struggling to pay your bills. You struggling to pay rent. Then you get some credit cards and you offsetting your finances. Now you in debt. You struggling to do that. And all the while, eventually, Apostle Yashimai has a song. He said, they chop your head, they chop the head off your dreams, the ghetto guillotine. I want to be a performative dancer. Like, man, this nigga want to. All the arts and the beauty that our people are capable of that we can read about in the scriptures. You read about those that were singing to the Most High in the scriptures, those that were playing instruments in the scriptures. And it was a beautiful time. But our people are so disconnected and oftentimes so far from that, we don't even get to realize the beauty that lies in our fellow man, our kin. And I said, man, it frustrated me because I know sisters that paint and people that do pottery and people that have wares and little things that are struggling to even, then guess what? They got to go to work Monday through Friday because it's like, I can paint really well, but how many people are going to come and pay for it? And I said, man, the heathen got that. You got a passion, you have an interest, you have something you could do for the Most High. You can introduce that stuff to the world with a storefront and actually make a living off of your passion and your pursuits, all in righteousness under the Most High. And it made me think about what our kingdom used to look like. If you wanted to bake, you could be a baker. You could have all these stores and shops and, you know, just commerce. And so many of our people, we stuck begging. People be on, you know, following social media trends, making a fool of themselves, or just being like, oh, day one of showing my art until I can pay my rent. It's like, damn. Talented. Yeah, sewing clothes. There's some sisters that have beautiful abilities to sew clothes, come out with crazy collections, but guess what? Most of the work that they do is either not what they're good at or, okay, well, I got to sew, but I'm going to sew because I got to survive. It's not just the beauty that we're able to bring forth. And I said, man, it frustrated me to see that the heathen had them type of outlets and they have those type of opportunities and they have those type of advantages and we subject to them. But guess what? They also got that judgment. They also got that destruction. They also got that fire and brimstone that burneth forever and ever coming. That's why we got to sit up here. We look at the world, even though we know these things are supposed to belong to us. It's like, all right, y'all got it for a time. And then we're going to have our kingdom. And it's not going to be no survivability. Let's go to Luke 1:68. Two more. We're going to read 68 through 72.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant.
That's what we're looking forward to be delivered from our enemies. You know how many great inventions there are in America that have been stolen from Israelites? Inventions, ideas. I recently seen the guy who invented the super soaker decades ago. He finally got some money, and it wasn't nearly as much. I think they gave him like $8 million, which is cool. But you know how many super soakers has been sold since like the 90s? Surely they have made way more than the few chips that they gave him. But guess what? We're captives in this land. He had to fight for decades. He probably had to get up and go work an everyday 9 to 5, go try and figure something else out. But you've already been a success, and your oppressors have taken it from you. They say Jack Daniels was brewed by a so-called black man. All these inventions, the stoplight, everybody bring it up during Black History Month, Latino Heritage Month, or Day. Then all of a sudden, all these things become relevant. But this country wouldn't even be a country, and it wouldn't be a functioning society without the Israelite. Yeah, and it's not just here. It's all over the world. How much less would be possible had it not been for the Israelite? Kingdoms that are renowned for their strength. People only even talked about Egypt when Israel was there. And Joseph was running things. Every country that has the Israelite in the captivity was a superpower. And yet here we are at the bottom of the barrel. But we hoping for our salvation. That's what we have to look forward to. That's the only thing that's left for us. We're not going back into the land and then coming back into a a captivity again. We're not going through that again. This is it. We looking to be delivered out of the hands of our enemies. And those that hate us, they don't want to see you shine. They don't want to see you successful. You know what's crazy? People even feel compelled not to laugh too hard at their job. Tell me I'm lying. You sit up here and you work with some white folks, especially you in a corporate environment, you can't, the people always talk about it, you gotta like de-niggify. You can't say certain slang. You can't laugh too loud. You can't say certain words. You got to change your voice because you're trying to be just a little less like everything you know that they hate. Last scripture. Let's go to Revelation. We know it ain't nothing else that's out in the world for an Israelite. And there's nothing left in this world to look forward to excluding salvation. I'm not saying you're wrong if you're having a child and you're excited. That's not what I'm saying. I know I got to, for the extremists, no, that's not what we're saying. But as far as dreams and aspirations and certain things that we hope to be able to accomplish with our lives, some of that stuff might even still be possible. But the end all be all, what we really waiting on, because if you sit up here and you're like a great musician, but then you got a record label that's taking all your profits, promoting you and leaving you broke, then you really not, like, there's really not much of an, as much of an excitement or as much of a result as being great as you are. If you're an artist, same thing. If you sing, if you dance, if you play an instrument, if you're highly intelligent, you're going to be working for a company 9 times out of 10, letting them profit off your ideas. This world is not for us in every way that you can imagine. The heathens hate us in every way that you can imagine. But what we do have to look forward to is making this count. Let's start at Revelation 21. Let's get 1 through 4.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. And behold, Salakia, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God.
That's what we're looking forward to. Guess what? There is a new heaven and a new earth coming. It's not going to be made after the fashion of this one. That's not going to squeeze the life out of you like this one. that's not going to be against you and hate you like this one. Where you're not going to be merchandise. Where your life is going to have more value than any other life. And even better, even of those that may have an inkling of dislike for you, they can't touch you. They can't do nothing about it. And they're going to be in subjection the way you're in subjection. So the same way you feel inclined to make yourself look less threatening, when you go amongst the heathen, they're going to make themselves look less threatening. They're going to try to impress you and straighten up when you walk into a room and make sure that they look presentable and make sure that they're trying to appease you the same way that so many of our people are stuck living amongst them trying to do the same. Read that next verse, though.
Verse 4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
You know how many tears is going to be shed? Some because it's just like, dang, I was getting done so wrong. Thank God. It's finally over. No more suffering. Read on.
And there shall be no more death.
No more death. Not your death. That's something people we have to concern ourselves with that. They make it seem like everybody gonna live to 100. When you 50 years old, you middle aged. Nah, most Israelites, your life expectancy is like 70, 80 years old. 35 is middle aged for an Israelite. That's why it's such a rush to hurry up and try to make something, and then it's like you don't have no time. All the while, you're just being made merchandise of. That's our lives in this captivity and in this time. He said, in this kingdom, there's not going to be any more death. Not of you, not of your children, of their children, of your brethren, brothers and sisters, and aunts and uncles and parents. You don't have to worry about them dying. You don't have to worry about, oh man, I'm going to pray over them because I don't know what's going to happen today, and giving them the speech of how to behave when police get behind them and make sure you yes, sir, and those. You don't have to do none of that. Hey, Mom, I don't know, we're going to be able to teleport or fly with chariots or how it's going to work. Man, I've always wondered what Jupiter looked like. Man, I'll be back. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. There's another planet this way. You're not going to be concerned. It ain't no more death. Brothers, we've talked about that before. I said, they was like, what would you do if, even if you was just confined to Earth? I said, man, I would walk on the bottom of the ocean and walk in volcanoes. I want to see what's down there. The ocean's only scary because I think about sharks and whales and all these other things, sea snakes and jellyfish, and that's the only reason why it has this level of intensity. If your boat breaks down, you're stuck in the water, you don't know what's below you, and the risk of drowning. If you couldn't die, what would stop you from taking a boat into the centermost part of the ocean that you could see and just jumping off the boat and floating down to see what's down there? Is that wild? Like, I think that would be awesome. I just want to go see all the different species that are undiscovered. What's at the bottom of the, what is it called? The Mariana Trench. What makes the Bermuda Triangle so active over there? I wonder what's going on with this. Leviathan is in the ocean. Where has he been? I want to go see what his dwelling has looked like all this time. Why not? I just want to go see. I don't know. Hey, I would like to explore, but the ocean has always been deadly. So I got too much to not only too much to live for, but I already got so many risks and uncertainty in my life while I'm on land. I don't need to add the hostile environment and pressure. But if I can't die, hey, I want to go study some fish. Yeah, I want to go see what's down there and look at all these things and see. Yeah, I want to go see what's on these other planets and go as far as we're allowed to go for as long as we're allowed to go there. Huh? He's like, hey, if they can speak. He said, there's no more death. Go ahead.
Neither sorrow nor crying.
Neither sorrow nor crying. Oh, I'm sad. This disappointed me. That disappointed me. You're not going to have to be concerned with any of the things that have ever brought a tear to your eye. Not offenses, not betrayal, not death, not sickness. name it. There's not going to be any more crying. There's not going to be any more sorrow. No more. Go ahead.
Neither shall there be any more pain.
Any more pain. You don't even have to worry about being in pain. Oh man, I got to be careful. I mean, the fear of heights would be gone. I can't die and I can't feel pain. If I fall, what's going to happen? I'm going to fly back up, or I'll just fall and just start flying from. What am I going to be concerned with? Yeah. I can't fall and break a leg. I can't be hurt. There's nothing out there that can harm you in this immortal and glorified body. Of whom shall we fear? He said, no more pain. We talking mental. We talking physical. We talking emotional. You ever caught a cramp while you asleep? That'll never happen again. Never. You ever lost somebody you love? That's never happening again. You ever been heartbroken? That's never going to happen again. You ever been lied to and you lost trust? That's never going to happen again. There's no liars that are going to make it into the kingdom of heaven. It's going to be the utopia that everyone has tried to imagine. And I say tried because he says the scriptures tell us it hasn't even entered into the hearts of men to imagine the things that are being prepared for the righteous. It's beyond what you can comprehend and what you can even imagine. He said there should be no more pain for what?
For the former things are passed away.
He said everything that you was worried about, everything that you experienced, everything that was weighing you down in this life, it ain't going to be nothing in that kingdom. That's all the more reason, I'm going to say it again, all the more reason that we have to push. We're in the last of the last days. We're in what could easily be the last few years or decades of this world as we know it. Of the cycle of life as we know it. Of life and death. Of kingdoms. There's only going to be one kingdom. We're at the end of the end. Or more like the beginning of the end, but it's going to happen quick. And now it's up to us to push. All praise to the Most High Israel. I hope this has been edifying. I hope it was exhorting. That's what we have a lot to look forward to. We just have to endure, right? We just have to continue to go through the things that we go through. All of these things, some of the troubles in the flesh, the stuff we experience when nobody's looking, the stuff that people bring upon you, the stuff you might bring upon yourself. We have to endure all of it because he is faithful that promised. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson with another.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me. So good to me. Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me. So good to me. Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes.